Good morning, viewers across the globe. This SRTV studios streaming live from Asaba in Delta State. Hopefully, we'll have Mary joining us from Abuja, and also Daddy Chris joining us from London in UK. And this morning, we'll be handling a topic some of us consider to be very passionate, and it has to do with the National Youth Service Scheme. That's NYSC. There is a plan at the federal level to have it extended from 1 year. It's a mandatory service from 1 year to 2 years. And the question really is in whose interest? So this morning we shall be discussing, analyzing, and detailing that topic, which is in national interest. Because come to think of it, the NYSC was set up some 52 years ago by the Gowon administration, the military administration of General Gowon. And it was a post-war, post-Nigerian Civil War policy, which was aimed at bringing together the nation to ensure national integration. But 52 years after, we need to sit down and evaluate and reevaluate this policy and find out to what extent is it still meeting up with the national goals by the founding fathers, and is it worth it now to have it extended from 1 year to 2 years. But to do justice to this, we have right here in the Delta studio engineer Mishak, ever so vibrant, ever so dynamic, and he's here this morning to shed light on this. NYSC, 52 years after, should we retain it as a 1 year mandatory service? Is it still relevant in the scheme of things in this nation? Is it time to make it a 2 year program? What is your take on that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Great people of the diaspora. I want to appreciate you, Mr. Baka, doing a great job of bringing this topic to a public discourse this morning. Most importantly, we need to understand the fundamentals, the priorities of setting up the NYSC in the first place, which is for integration, which is for cohesion, which is for tolerance, and so many other values the founding fathers taught were the objective of setting it up. But has it met its objective? I'll tell you verbatim that no. NYSC really has not met its objective. It's more like it's more like casualization of staff. It's not like having a group of graduates who go on a 1 year casualization job attachment to different organizations and MDAs that they are doing national service. National service should be more realistic and more productive, but that is not what we see. If it's the military nationals, if you're saying we're going on the military for national service for 1 year to get trained, to be that is more understandable, like you see them do in some other clients. But there, national service is so projected. It was better than failure. That's it. It was better than failure. And now the government, if you look at very few people have come, except those that have met their spouses during national service, except those that are in one way or the other been able to get a job. But it has not favored majority of Nigerian students who have become graduates, and it has not favored the founding fathers' ideology for bringing forth that idea that we must go for 1 year compulsory national service. What essence? Now, they're suggesting for a second year. You need to, before you suggest for a 1 year extension for the national service, what is the objective? Have you been able to look at, now we're talking of paying of the minimum wage for the 1 year. It is still a case of the government dragging its foot or not dragging its foot. There should be more realistic way to serve the nation. What the nation wants us to serve them. What is the nation? What our founding fathers, what our leaders putting together to see post-national service life? What are they putting together? So for me, I'm of the opinion that the extension is only necessary If you ask anybody, any of the NYSC or any of the corpers or prospective corps, they will tell you, yeah, the 2 years is justifiable, that they love it. Why do they love it? They love it because after 1 year, you are out of job in Nigeria and you are not sure you're going to have job again. But with 2 year extension, 77,000 naira times 24 months, you can have a starting capital for your business. That is the only positive for this year's extension, or for the decision to extend the national service. But besides all that, there are no positives for the extension of the national service, because for the 52 years the national youth service have been in place, I have not seen the impact. Now, there's nothing, no people, we are not producing, there's no production chain. We are not using it to develop farm machinery. We are not, totally nothing. So I think, as my own perception, is that the national service extension is good for the youth corps because there are no jobs after service. But as a nation, and as a nation with policy makers, the policy is wrong because the objective of the policy cannot be substantiated.
Yeah, thank you so very much. We'll be getting in Mary from Abuja, but before that is done, let's still fleshing up the perspectives. At the risk of sounding very personal, I served this nation. I participated in that scheme some 33 years ago in a place called Mongonu in Borno State. But that place today is under the control of Boko Haram. So now I have a son who is ready to go and serve. I wouldn't encourage him to go to that place, and not to talk of going there to stay for 2 years. You understand? So the state of the nation is such that people are asking themselves, is this still a nation that, yes, you use some of them for election. Some of them have died in that purpose. I know a family in Delta from Ela that their only child was monitoring election, supervising election in Rivers State, and was killed. And there is no insurance policy for these people. And come to think of it, I know those who are into medical sciences. Those who are into medical sciences, you see them as house officers. Some of them are paid things, something in the neighborhood of 200, 300. But the moment they are through with that and they get into NYSC, they are being paid something in the neighborhood of 70 something. And what that means is that you use the word casualization. I have encountered youth, corpers who incidentally are doctors in some states in this federation. And they told me that the health facilities of certain states are being sustained by corpers, and they are paid 80,000. In addition to what the federal government paid them, 80,000. So now you see that you have it guaranteed that for the next 2 years, you have this quote and unquote slave labor. So you don't have any incentive to go and advertise and then engage people who you will now pay the real wage for the services of a doctor. I'm just using that as an instance. The same thing for banks and in other places. But we want to have a take. We want to see the take of Abuja on this. Mary, are you hearing us loud and clear? Hello, Mary.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. So please, the topic, extension or NYSC extension from 1 year to 2 years, in whose interest? Please, let us have a feel of Abuja concerning this. Because from all intents and purposes, you are closer to the, as it were, the seat of power. In whose interest is this planned extension of NYSC mandatory service from 1 year to 2 years? Mary from Abuja, please.
Okay, so it was actually the Minister of this education that talked about it, Alausa, and he proposed the 2 years of youth service, and his reasons are that so that they will kind of acquire skill acquisition, and it will enable them to learn other skills that will help them, right? work after NYSC. But personally, I would say it's really not important, and long overdue of youth service will not really guarantee a good life for these people. It is better they finish for that 1 year and look for something else to do. It is not for the interest, to me. I would say it's not for the interest of these core members. You are not fighting for their own interest. It will be for your own selfish or personal interest, because which one is for them to be to stay at service for 2 years? There are still good things that they can acquire after service just for that 1 year. So keeping them for a whole lot of 2 years is really not making any sense. If you ask me personally, it's not a good one. And I hope they will not really say they want to go into this, because it should not be like a problem now. It should not be something we want to be talking about. Why not talk about how to provide job opportunities for them after that 1 year? 2 years of service will not change anything in their lives, will not make them different. Is it because they now start paying them 77,000 and you think it's going to bring a whole lot of changes for them? No. The best thing is, anything you want to learn within that 1 year of service, I would say it's better you learn it within that 1 year of service, and after then you look for something else to do to better your life. You can't be caged for 2 years doing just one thing, doing youth service. No, 1 year is enough. Anybody that has served before will tell you that 1 year is a whole lot of time to build yourself. 2 years is too much and very, very not necessary. I don't see the essence of keeping somebody for 2 years. No any positive change for me. I don't really think keeping them for 2 years, you understand, will yield any impact. It's a whole lot of time to keep these people for 2 years. It's for their own selfish interest, and will really not make any sense for me. 1 year is enough for anybody that wants to achieve anything. Yes, that's my take on it.
Yeah, thank you so. The minister's argument, as it were, in his presentation, is that there are integral parts of the scheme that under 1 year they cannot be adequately implemented. That within the 1 year is expected that somebody, if somebody from the north is serving in the southwest now, he should be able to pick up the Yoruba language. Language is very integral to having somebody become part of a culture, because the founding fathers had a dream of a situation where somebody will, after schooling in Ahmadu Bello University, the person may have been born somewhere in Sokoto and schooled in Ahmadu Bello University, but is meant to serve in somewhere in Ugeb in the Northern Cross River. And on getting to the place, he integrates, he possibly marries, he picks up the language, so that at the end of the day, we can benefit so much from our cultural diversity, and we see ourselves blending more as a people with one collective destiny. So that I will not see a young woman on the street of Sokoto who is wearing hijab and begin to feel that is culturally offensive. You understand? So that within 1 year, you pick up the language. Within 1 year, you pick up skill. Within 1 year, you are involved in community development project. Within the 1 year that is happening now, as is the case, you will see some of these things being rushed, some of them being cosmetic. You see them gathered in squares and parks. They try to do some sanitation, and before you know it, the 1 year is over. And so it is his thinking that 2 years will be long enough to appropriately implement this vision of the founding fathers. And this is coming 52 years after. So the question, Engineer Meshach, really is the thinking of the minister that such that this will be adding meat when we have not improved on the security of these people in their various places of service?
Unfortunately, the minister's opinion is totally subjective and not objective. It didn't state realistically what the corpus stand to benefit. Like I did say in my opening salvo, I say yes, for a lot of Nigerians, it's highly unnecessary, except for the youth corpus. Why? Because there are no jobs. So if there's an extension, they are sure that there will be an extra 12 months, not to gain skill, not to gain knowledge, not to integrate, but just to earn extra money to be able to start a business or to start life post NYSC. Now, the corpus, it's strange that you ask children to go to serve somewhere, to serve a nation that is under siege, to serve in a nation where, almost half of the states of the federation is undergoing under one type of insecurity or the other, in a nation where coppers on their way to camps have lost their lives through kidnappings and accidents, and there's not been any government response, like Obaka did say, no insurance policy. The nation, like I said, the NYSC scheme is a form of casualization of graduates. They casualize them, they pauperize them, they underpay them, they create a sense of giving them that sense of belonging to a federation that doesn't care about them. When you just say you are a copper, they will allow you past checkpoint. That is an illusion, an illusive narrative. It gives you that kind of feeling of something that you are, and truly you're not. So I want to think that for government to be able, even the 1 year, now they're talking about, there was something that Mary made mention of when she said that the minister talked about the reasons. And when she laughed, I equally laughed from this end, that it will help them acquire skills. Which skills, for crying out loud? Now, majority of the youth corpus are sent to schools, to secondary schools in the interlands and secondary schools in obscure cities to become classroom teachers. Very few of them, they choose private companies to work. The majority of them are working in lounges and nightclubs to earn extra money at night. So are those the skills they want to learn? When you're talking of skills, skills are indigenous. Skills, is it skills in farming? Is it skills in curator? Is it skills in manufacturing? Is this what kind of skills are you talking about? They were more specific. Is it skills in knowing how to carry ballot buses? Is it skills in election rigging? They should tell us so that we'll know, because the minister did not verbatim define the required skills or the intended skills that the NYSC scheme chooses, or would rather give to, would rather help the people to learn. But when you look at all this being said, it's a clear indication that the ship of the NYSC leadership, they do not know, they are directionless. They do not know where they are going to. They are totally patternless. And of course, you have not created jobs. We are creating more higher institutions than we are creating jobs for industrialization. Like I was, I don't know, I think it was off camera yesterday, I made reference to the fact that in the 60s and 70s, during the post-independence, the oil boom era, we had, and when we had regional governments, we had companies going to higher institutions, to final year classes, to go and pick up graduates who are short starters, immediately they finish their youth service, or going to NYSC camp. They went to pick up graduate assistant, people that will come and start working in big conglomerates, the CFO, AO, the John Holtz, the Shells, the Chevrons, the Halliburtons, you name it, the Bata, or it's under CFAO, it's under John Holt, and so many other big conglomerates, the Leventis, the British American Tobacco Company in Ibadan. They come to NYSC camps. They come to final year classes to employ graduates or intended graduates. The government has never made mention of what will be the fate of these students after NYSC. Have we created enough jobs in this country? Have we created enough? You are talking of skills acquisition. Skills can only be acquired when there's power stability. What most 90% of the skills in this country are attributable to power source. Without electricity, we can't. But we are a nation of over 60 years, and we still cannot guarantee 10 hours of continuous power supply, and we want our kids to extend their youth service by 1 year and go into industrialization. That is pervasive. You can't tell me that. Tell that to the birds. So the NYSC are so structured, and the response of the Minister of Education is totally infantile. It is not the true reflection of the realities on ground. They should look more into, like my brother here had said, securing the lives and property of our corpers before even thinking of extending. The corpers are not happy. They're only concerned about casualization of our graduates, turning them into mortal slaves to the government in power, to the political elite. Why extend it for 1 year when there's no value added? That's my question.
Yeah, thank you so very much. In 52 years, the NYSC has gone under a whole lot of transformation, including that at some point, people with people who went through not teacher training college, but NCE. Those who had NCE as teachers were part of it. Then those who had the HND were also part of it. Over time, age disqualification for involvement has also come in. There was a time that each orientation camp in the country had a viable agric farm. There was NYSC farm in Iyanopaja then, and they could produce food, at least to an extent, to show dignity in labor. But now, it's as if all those have gone. It's just about annual contract for those who supply the boot, and those who get the state. And states within that region today are completely under siege, under the control of Boko Haram. So, Mary, assuming you have a younger fellow now who wants to serve and is posted to some of these states where some of the states in the federation do not have orientation camps. Their orientation camps have been taken over. So they go to a state nearest to them where that is relatively safer. So what they do is they do the 3 weeks orientation there and are permitted to come back to any of the relatively safe states in the federation. So you see them returning to certain states, and some places have become dumping ground. You now have a preponderance of ghost coppers who are just coppers by uniform and name, but you don't see them in their places of primary assignment. Mary, please, speaking from Abuja and giving us a broader, perhaps more national perspective, if you have a younger brother or sister now who at the end of her university training or his university training is posted to Zamfara now, or is posted to Yola or Borno or Katsina under the present configuration in Nigeria, what encouragement, what advice will you give to such a fellow, recognizing that is a compulsory national service, and some people have been booted out of political office for either not participating? It is compulsory. So what advice will you give to such a person that is posted to a place that is turbulent in the nation?
Okay, it's that simple. I will advise the person to redeploy.
Can we hear you?
Yeah.
You will advise the fellow to do what?
Your life first. I advise the person to redeploy, but in the first.
Okay, you will ask the fellow to redeploy. And if everybody or 40-50% of those conscripted for this are redeploying, we want to ask, to what extent are we achieving the noble objectives of the founding fathers? And don't forget that one of the objectives is about national integration, so that somebody from Sokoto can go and marry somebody from Akwa Ibom. To what extent
can you hear me?
Present socio-political configuration in Nigeria?
Well, unfortunately, Ubaka, I think when you talk of national integration, how has it helped us? Our people go to the nationals. If you don't fight, they are there fighting themselves. Our legislators, for me personally, the NYSC has not met any objective. The NYSC in its totality should have been scrapped because it has not created. We went to the university, we meet people, we integrate there. I went to a federal government college, and the universal motto of all federal government colleges is pro unitate, which is for unity. And in as much, I had people from the 36 states of the federation in my class. I had people that could not, you see, a major problem with Nigeria is this quota system. I had people in the north who couldn't speak English. Bendel State, then Anambra State, Imo State, we had the highest cutoff marks. Meanwhile, we had cutoff marks of 200, and so we had people that had cutoff mark of 10 from Zamfara State. We didn't have Zamfara then, from Gongola, from other states in the north, and they came to a federal government college. They could not speak English. But however, like you did say, you talked about integration. They were able to get integrated. By verbal and non-verbal communication, they started integrating, and integration was sociable. Integration, you cannot achieve any form of integration under 1 year. You cannot achieve it because there are breakpoints. You must go integrate. You must know a culture. We have to. I'm leading us to why I want to scrap. We have to understand their fasting period. We even fasted with them. We went to the dining hall with them. We broke fast with them. We performed that. We learned how to perform ablution. Some people that didn't know how to do that. Integration then, because the political class had not manipulated our mindset. It was easy to integrate. It was easy for cultural integration. There was love, but all that love went away when politicians started using culture, religion, and integration as a tool for their own selfish interest. They started creating that, they're giving that carrot of discord. As you ate it, we're fighting ourselves. Now, the NYSC was objectively set up to foster the narrative I just given, to help improve on that narrative. That's why the NYSC was set up. And the narrative is such of social integration, great communication, intermarriage, intercultural marriage, intertribal marriage, and cohesion. I will tell you something and it will shock you. While we were in the secondary school in Mina, this Fulani herdsmen you are talking, I don't know where these things started happening. We went into their settlements in the farm. When we were in the boarding house, we didn't want to go to school, wanted to go to the mango plantations in the bush to go and stone mango. We go into the bushes in the night, the daytime, during this kind of time, we'll be in the bush. We go to their settlements. We bought jollof draw soup then. We bought draw soup. We ate with them. They gave us fura de nunu. We integrated with them. We laughed with them. This was integration. We were socially integrated.
You can't do that.
I can't do that. I'm telling you
my network was bad. But what Mr. Obaka was asking, I would have said if it was before, the essence is, in fact, while growing up, I've always loved to serve at Kano State, because I've always loved it. Yes, the essence is you learn their culture, their food, their language, so you mix up. You see that this love is there, right? Because why I said the love is there is begin to learn new things. You begin to see yourself loved by strange people. Sometimes people go to service, and at the end of the day, they find themselves that they now want to reside in that place. They might not really have the need to want to come back again. But in this present Nigeria, things like that don't happen again. That's why I say you see a lot of people trying to redeploy. Because are you going to stay in a place where you can't sleep with your two eyes closed? Everything you've said, right, engineer? There are things you would have said you can do before, not now.
Yes, not now.
I know of core members where they can even follow the villagers to the farm, get some farm products. Yes, and by so doing, they don't have the need to start buying food. Why? Because
yes, I think
they are-
Mary, what we are trying to interrogate here, in order to see if we can profile some ways forward, is 52 years on, what has changed? I tried talking of so many years ago, or close to 40, when some of them taught me. They were some of the best teachers I had were products of University of Ife. They had just been taught literature by the Wolosheikas of this world, and they came in fresh and taught me in my secondary school. And so I may not have been under the tutelage of Soyinka, physically speaking, in any classroom, but I've been taught by a generation that he taught. You get that. So I also had to, at my time, bring up people. In the government secondary school, I was known as Malam English, because they felt I was teaching them English. Yeah, and I had something to do in the radio station in the state, in the English service. But between then and now, how do you justify it's a 2-1 product in biochem being made to serve in a brothel, and her role is to check the rooms and replace the tissues in the rooms? At what point did we degenerate to such a level? We knew they could be in the hospitals then, but even not too long ago, I had a family friend that that had to serve as a medical doctor after the house officership that she did in Asaba here, had to go to Ebonyi and didn't find a hospital to serve in Ebonyi. Our patient doctor ratio is still far from the World Health Organization thing. So we are still under-doctored, if you may say. But how come that there are still doctors who do not find where to serve? And you find people serving in places that years ago were unmentionable. Is there no way we could streamline our policies in order that these people, and is there no policy of that you cannot go ahead with this casualization? Banks need them, 10, 15, 20 of them. Can't we ask these banks, how many of them have you retained? Are you telling me that over the years, you just have their services, cheap labor, and throw them out and get another one? Then from 1 year, you now want to do that for 2 years. Where will be the prospect of these people ever to work? That's my concern, and that is what I think we can interrogate.
Okay, this is what the minister of youth development said. Ayodele Olawande. He said it has to be okay. It is said it is better to have an impactful 1 year service where COP members are properly equipped with the capacity to create jobs and impact their lives, rather than extend the service to 2 years. And I totally agree with him. I really do not see any essence of these 2 years. I'm serious.
That for now, 52 years on, let's have a 1 year impactful program rather than a 2 years of, to some of them, is 2 years of frustration.
He's totally right for disagreeing with the Minister of Education, right? Alausa, he's right. Because let's boast of 1 year impactful service. Where people could say, okay, I went for service and this is what I achieved. Instead of keeping them for 2 years with no vision. You think you just want to keep them there and start paying them 77,000 naira? No, they should do better. It's better they go for that 1 year. I believe any skill you need to learn, if the Minister of Education is saying the essence is for them to learn more skill acquisition, there's nothing you cannot learn within 1 year. 1 year is a whole lot of time. You understand? To keep people for 2 years makes no sense. That's my take on it. If you ask me, it is not for the COM members' interest. I don't know. It is for their own interest, because for COM members, 1 year is enough. It's enough time. That's it.
Please, can you come in, Engineer Misha? Can you come in on this angle of the need for life insurance policy for these people, considering how vulnerable, this nation is?
Yes, I think that is something we've always talked on a lot of print and electronic media in the last 2 decades. The relevance of ensuring the lives of corpers all over the Federation during that period of stewardship to the state. Most importantly, you can get 1 year depending on the life plan that you wish. It's very essential because we've lost a lot of corpers on their way to camp, on their way to their place of primary assignment, on their way back to their home states after the 3 weeks camping. Accidents have happened. Some have been kidnapped. Some have become sex slaves. Some have been, a lot have been casualized. So, I mean, there's so much, the life of a graduate, and a lot of these graduates are people who have struggled to go to school, who have grown in the states of poverty that their parents struggled to train, and some were self-trained. So, I mean, the government needs to, the way you secure the lives of officers, these people are, of course, they are as equal as officers on the
national service.
National service.
National service.
Because as a graduate in the NDA, you start with second lieutenant. These people are graduates, so treat them the way you treat second lieutenants in the Nigerian Army and equivalent military forces. And when you look at that, the youth corpers are looked at as less of humans. I mean, I inclusive, because I was once a corper. The remuneration is not encouraging enough. Now, if you look at the context of this propension, it is self-inducement, because there are a lot of people benefiting, like Kubaka did say, a lot of people benefiting from the NYSC scheme. Those people that do the printout of NYSC documentation papers, those people that sell the boots, those people that sew the uniforms, those people that print the vests, those people that are into the catering services during the camping, and so many other ad hoc opportunities. They are making a lot. So the extension is a craving, an underlying craving from benefactors of these things I have named. So they will continue to use political godfathers to project this. That what they are doing now, they are testing the microphone. They want to see how Nigerians will react and how they would look at when they brought it. Now look at the scenario. They looked at it. Government has, because of that cry of that young girl that cried in the pains of living in Nigeria as a corper, the government consented to the 77,000 naira minimum wage. They allowed it to bear on Nigerians for a week. Then they now came out with an extension. Now, how does it look? They know for 99% of Nigerians will tell you we don't want the extension. But the corpers, because they don't have a hope in the nation that is supposed to give them hope, they will say, okay, it's like this, if youth service and the money is much now, I beg, I wouldn't mind, let me just remain here. Come to all the nightclubs, lounges, hotels in Asaba, in Warri, in fact, in Delta State. 90% of the staff are youth corpers who work on shift there. They go to their places of primary assignment during the day. They become, like my brother did say, they become workers in sex hotspots in the night. And is that the kind of trade you want them to learn? Is that the kind of trade the minister is asking them to learn? Now, my concept of national service is after the service.
What is he trying to do? It's not to talk about 2 years. What plans does he have for these core members? The Olatunji Alausa, who is the minister, what plan does he have? Is it to just come out and talk? What plans does he have? You understand? Instead of talking about how to make money impactful, he's talking about 2 years. When 1 year already is even a problem to these people. It doesn't make any sense, honestly. They should not even think about it, though.
It doesn't. Because what I am looking at, what I expect them is, now let's productive creation, what we call productive creativity. Now, productive creativity entails the capacity of an individual to, over a period of time, have the capacity to undergo training and replicate on that training for 6 months. You can learn tailoring in 6 months. You can learn computer repairs in 6 months. You can learn mechanic in 6 months. Subsequently, you will improve on them, but you can learn the basics under this time. You can learn hairdressing. You can learn makeup artists. We have people learning it everywhere, even in our studios all around. So you have so many things you can learn out of photography. If these are the things, he said that the extension will make them independent. But how independent can they be when they do not have anything to hold on? Independence is a product of training. You can only be independent not when you are a waiter in a lounge, or you are a casual counter teller in the bank, or you are a teacher, an NYSC teacher. So what is that skill that you will learn that post NYSC, because of the unavailability of job, you become self-reliant to be able to, I mean, the government is not, you see, the government tells itself, a government that lies to itself, how do you expect what they will tell the citizens? They replicate what they see in their dreams. They just wake up without thinking. They think before they act, they speak before they think. And that is the kind of leadership we've had. My senior brother here, Mr. Baka, was making reference to from 1952 that for the past 52 years, what has we achieved? And now I want to ask him, for the past 65 years as a country, what have we achieved as a nation post-independence? When as a nation we have not been able to achieve anything, there's the youth service, we can't, because leadership is premised on a faulty foundation. The ideology of most of these protagonists of this, like NYSC, for example, 1973, the ideology behind it was good, but we're good at policy formulation. The biggest problem we have is policy implementation, and that is where we have an issue. And 1960 till now as a country, we cannot address power. 1960 till now as a country, we cannot address leadership. 1960 till now as a country, we cannot address so many facets of our society. Instead, it's undergoing a degenerative, retrogressive concept.
Yeah, engineer, we can understand that. I want Mary to come in from Abuja with respect to the bylaws of NYSC. The NYSC has some stated bylaws, and they are clearly stated, and they have to do. One of such is that I for one now, I cannot say in this studio that I want to take 30 graduates of theater arts, and bring them in here when I do not have accommodation for one or two of them, but you find out that with the influence one wears, it is a lot easier for me to, even without visiting, I make a phone contact to NYSC in we have them located in Iseluku Delta State,
they will send
and I say I need 35,
and they will send
35 to me. And for goodness sakes, these 35 people are rendered homeless because I do not have fundamentally the first thing where they should put their heads. I mean, the shelter. So ab initio, I have rendered them disposed to challenges from day one, not to talk of the issue of remuneration, and not to talk of that I'm waiting for another 12 months to have them renewed with another 32 persons. So it becomes like a slave thing. So assuming that 52 years on, the end users, the employers of labor, in order to find out to what extent are these people fulfilling the goals of, because some of them, what they studied is entirely very different, outrightly different from their places of primary assignment. And you see these people for 12 months or thereabouts in frustration and just waiting for when will this service year be over? When will it end?
The 1 year that is so tiring.
To tell them that it's not ending, it's going to be.
That's what to finish. You just want to finish and rest, and you are coming to say 2 years. 2 years for what? What are the plans put in place to keep people for 2 years when the 1 year is not even enough? Sometimes the PPA that these people apply for don't even pay well. A lot of them are suffering. Sometimes they end up using even the money the little money the NYSC pay to attend their own PPA. You think they're making money as core members? I think it's better they finish up, then look for something else that can be beneficial to them. Don't keep people for 2 years. Say you want them to learn this, you want them to learn that. Is it only NYSC that provide them the space to learn all of this? There are things you can learn on your own without having to be a core member, without having to still remain in NYSC section. No, I don't really see keeping you for 2 years of service as a thing of achievement. The minister should come up with other policies, other things that can be a kind of that can make that 1 year, right, impactful for these people. You don't just come up and say 2 years. 2 years is not a child's play. For people that have served, they'll tell you, you just sometimes you just reach that, like, the service is even for 6 months, and they're coming to say 2 years. That doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, we want people, we want to keep people, we want to tie people down for our own selfish interest. Just like what Mr. Obaka said, a lot of people are making money during service time. If you go to the camp, people that work in the kitchen, people that they kind of make these crested shirts, their shoes, their cap, the belts, and all of that. They make money. If you go to NYSC camp, you see that they make money. Yes, a lot of people make money during this service. Is that why they want them to stay? Because if the reason that the minister is giving right now, I really don't see how important it is. Because this is me stating my own personal thoughts on this. When I saw the news that they are kind of seeking for 2 years extension of NYSC, and I felt like this is a misplaced priority. We should be thinking of something else. We should be thinking of, okay, how can you come out? How can they come out from service and have a kind of jobs creation for them, and not you trying to keep them for a whole lot of 2 years. They need to come out so that other people will still serve and come out again. You don't keep people for 2 years, making no sense. Like yesterday, we're talking about nurses that have been traveling outside the country. We are losing a lot of our medical practitioners. Why? Because they feel it's better out there. They feel like outside Nigeria favors them a lot. And this is what the governor of Enugu State had to say, trying to get his picture. Enugu State governor actually is not cool with it. He said they can't keep training people, and they tend to travel outside Nigeria. No, who is training them? Are you training these practitioners? You're not the one training them. So you don't expect them to suffer, go to school, using their brains to do these things. Then after going to school, coming back, the country they find themselves, they are not being paid well, and expect them to stay back. Why? All because you or because we are Nigerians. No, you can't keep me because I'm a Nigerian. I'm trying to get the image of any state governor. You can't keep me because I'm Nigerian. No, if something is not favoring me, there's no way you expect me to stay. I can only stay in a place if it's favoring me. Yes, if NYSC is in favor of these core members, they will not be complaining, because I know fully well that they are not cool with this. The core members are actually not in support of this development. This development should not even take place, because I do not see any importance of it. Keeping people for 2 years, it can be so boring. Yes, if anything they want to learn, they should learn within 1 year. Makes no sense keeping them for 2 years. For what? Of what interest per se? If you ask me, what's the essence of it in this kind of country we find ourselves, where people want to move forward, where people, yes, a lot of them serve, even after service, the next thing is they travel out for their master, they travel out to do other things outside the country. So you can't stock them here for whooping 2 years. 2 years is too much. You understand? We are losing a lot of our people because the country is not proper. Do you know how many core members die during their service year? Some people while traveling for their PPA, some people while even trying to go to camp. How many of them die during their PPA? Sometimes where they find themselves is not even cool for them. Sometimes the village they post them to is not even cool for them. They try to just endure and stay in these villages that they post them to. Not everybody can redeploy. So they try to fold themselves and see how they can manage themselves in these villages, and expect them to stay in such kind of place, in such kind of environment for 2 years.
Maybe
Once the
it's
minister,
actually good to have you back. It's actually good to have you back.
I've been here.
52 years
I've been here.
on
I think
of
we can then talk.
NYSC. Yes. 52 years on of NYSC. There are program or projects they carry out within the camp. The doctors and nurses gather, and they have their mini health center. Yes. And I think their bread is still being supplied from outside. They contract that out. Over time, is there anything wrong for them to have an NYSC clinic or hospital, which outsiders can even come and receive their health? Because it is baffling that somebody had to leave Delta here, a trained, qualified medical doctor, got to Ebonyi and didn't find a place to serve. You understand? Is there anything wrong for NYSC in the state to have their clinics, to have restoration of NYSC farm that they used to have? I was aware of the thriving NYSC farm in the Yanopaja in Lagos, you know, and it exposed people to some level of relatively large-scale farming. Is there anything wrong for you to say this shoe was picked up from NYSC craft shop, that those who are into craft can come together, do things, you know, manufacture bags, print t-shirts, plan their own shows, so that it's just not within the 3 weeks of orientation that the camp is bubbling. But the NYSC 52 years on should be able to impact on the society they are serving in their states, at the state level, you know, beyond what we are having now of you know, once in a while we watch even on BBC that a member of the National Youth Service Corps was able to raise money and they sank borehole in the community, so the community is drinking water for the first time. I mean, courtesy of a member of the National Youth Service Corps. That's wonderful. That is life touching. That is life forming.
Does the minister know the kind of villages they take these people to? How difficult it is for them sometimes. Some villages they take these people to. No lights. Sometimes no good water.
If no drinking water. There's some villages no drinking water.
You know, there are places I cannot stay. Oh, that's just the truth. Why in the name of youth service? I know the place they posted me to. No, it doesn't make any sense. You don't keep people that will be suffering and
some villages without drinking water. I personally will not allow people I know to go to such places. You can't guarantee.
It's even difficult for 1 year. There are a lot of villages that they take these people to, and when they take them there, they refuse to reject them. There are a lot of schools that are ready, villages, deep village, they're ready to accept core members, and if you go there, you're begging them to reject you, they will say no. They will not accept to reject you. Why? Because they hardly see core members there. You understand? You'll be begging for rejection. Please reject me, let me leave.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They embrace you, they give you houses.
You plead for rejection.
Yes, all those their local houses. You think it's people say that when you serve in the village, you save more money, things are cheaper. No. There are villages you go to, you know that things are more expensive. Because why? Getting to town to go buy these things is very expensive. It's very difficult. Before you enter a vehicle to town to go get these things, and when you're coming back, those traders will definitely add money to it. You can't find good things in these villages. Some of them, it's not every day that you see them selling in the market. They have market days. It's just difficult to adapt. I know how these coppers will tell you, oh my God, I can't wait for this 1 year to elapse so that I can live and do something with my life. So you say you want to now keep them for 2 years for that's you, the minister. How many times have you been visiting these villages? All these their PPEs. How many times have you been visiting them? Do you know how these people struggle to go to their CDS? The money they spend to go to their CDS. Sometimes they need to be like, they need to enter two people will enter one bike just to save money. There are some CDS that when you go there for since it's every week, 4 times in a month, you know how much you spend. Because the place for the CDS is far from the PPA. So you don't think it's that rosy for them. Sometimes it's difficult. Yeah. In 1 year is enough for them to suffer. Yeah. You don't keep them for 2 years. Not everybody's enjoying youth service. Not everybody's enjoying the NYSC. Depending on where they posted you.
Okay.
It's better for us.
Mary, besides all this, there's an area where I feel so pained. The government, the minister just wakes up and desires an extension without retrospectively looking at the pros and cons of NYSC so far. At the most vulnerable set of coppers are female coppers. They are so vulnerable. I weep every year that people. You know, most of especially in the area of accommodation, what does the NYSC talk about post-camping months or post-camping days? 3 weeks in camp, yes, there's accommodation. After camp, accommodation becomes a problem, and most of our female coppers are exploited. People even drive as far, they know personal parade days, boys, Yahoo boys, pedophiles, praise, they drive down to, like you say, Cook, NYC camp, for example, because they know these people are going to be vulnerable, and of course they will be vulnerable. So the people, most of our female couples are subjected to cohabiting with people that were totally strangers with them just because they want to have accommodation.
It happens.
So I mean,
happens every year in
it's
service.
painful enough.
A lot of female couples cohabit with male
You said?
couples. A lot of female couples try to cohabit with
Cohabiting,
male
some-
couples because
Yes,
maybe they
some
can't afford.
female couples,
They want to
the
split the
female
rent.
couples become sex slaves.
You get? They want to split the
The
rent.
female couples become sex slaves. Some of these politicians even say, okay, you stay, Mike. Most of them, they are turned into sex slaves. Before you know, they're into prostitution because of accommodation
How
and
many of the
financial issues.
villages? How many of the villages is this minister? I'm still saying what I'm saying. This minister of education.
The minister
How
has
many
never
of
gone
the-
to any village. They always speak
How many
from
of
the
the
comfort of
villages? Look at him
Abuja.
here. Look at him here. How many of the villages does he visit? How many? Has
Okay,
he been
that's
able
the Minister of Education,
Alausa?
Olatunji
Yes.
Alausa, who
Yes.
is
How
proposing
many?
that the mandatory NYSC period should be extended from 1 year
Yes.
to 2 years. And the aggregate of the views expressed thus far in the past hour or so, and the comments that were also followed online, the aggregate of the views sums up to the fact that 52 years on, the NYSC had wonderful, very noble vision by the founding fathers. It's one of the things we remember the military government of Gowon for, because after the war, he felt the military government then felt that one of the reasons why the war even came in the first place was that there were ethnic diversities that didn't quite understand that there were things that bound them together. They now felt that, oh yes, it is possible for somebody to be born in Ibadan, have his primary school in Ibadan, secondary school in Ibadan, and first degree in UI, the same Ibadan, and even second degree. Such a person may live and die an Ibadan man, and his worldview will end up reflecting everything just Ibadan. But that let there be a scheme that can take him possibly to Kano or to Aba to go and serve, so that he can understand that there is a Nigerian nation beyond Ibadan city. That was a wonderful, a very noble vision. But 55 years on, the bylaws are not being observed, and employers of labor are cashing in on it, casualizing people, almost making our children end up as slaves. And 55 years on, the vision has not been, we've not run enough with the vision. So it's not impacting. And in the state of the nation then, post-war Nigeria, even today, is worse. Not less than 5 states are under the control of Boko Haram and insurgents. And in some parts of the country, the attire of NYSC, incidentally, is traditionally trouser, both for women and men. In some parts of the country, if a female couple wears the trouser, he is seen as an infidel, and they are being assaulted here and there. So over time, we should think of how we can reform this scheme and how we can make the 1 year more impactful, rather than elongating what some of them call a frustrating period of national service, full of uncertainties. We can't forget the Deltan that died in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, supervising election. Now you have exposed them with their lecturers and professors, you have exposed them to Nigerian electoral process that is fraught with violence and all manner of things, you know. So the aggregate of the opinion expressed thus far this morning via SRTV is that we should be content for now with 1 year service period of NYSC, while we try to bring the nation back to order, law and order, while we try to secure the lives of our children who are on service, instead of exposing them to the vagaries of insecurity and uncertainty across the nation. And that until that is done, Olatunji Alausa, the Minister of Education, should put on hold his advocacy and his effort to implement an elongation of NYSC to 2 year period. So I think at this point we can go on a short break now. And when we come back, Mary from Abuja, you drive the newspaper review while we join you from here. Thank you very much.
Nigeria Week London 2025. It's time to celebrate the pulse of Africa's most exciting nation. Nigeria Week London 2025 is coming to Hippodrome Theatre from July 24th to 26, 2025, showcasing the best in Nigerian arts, music, fashion, and investment opportunities. Whether you're looking to discover the future of real estate, explore Nigeria's culinary masterpieces, or get immersed in an electric Afrobeat performance, this is the event of the year. You can also join us for a film festival, cultural dance spectacles, and the recognition awards. Don't miss out on the business opportunities and cultural experiences waiting for you. Book your tickets now before they're gone on eventbrite.co.uk. Call or text +447 438 893 190 or 080 330 46768 or +447 459 071 747. Visit our website superiorradioandtelevision.com. Nigeria Week London 2025. Nigeria Week London 2025, celebrating the best of Nigeria, is partnered with Civil Society, scaling up nutrition in Nigeria.
Back to the morning show of SRTV. We expect Mary now to lead us through the newspaper review. Mary, over to you, please.
Okay, we'll start with the Punch. And the big story on the Punch is marketers predict cheap petrol nationwide as Dangote begins Naira sale. Let me come again. Marketers
Predict cheaper petrol price
as Dangote begins
Naira sale. Engineer Mishak, what does this portend? Before now, Dangote was transacting with the Naira, and we could predict that the price was coming low. At some point, they say no, even in this nation, let the sector be denominated in dollar. But now the Federal Executive Economic Council has said no, let it be in Naira. And now marketers are predicting that this will affect the pump price. What does this portend?
Well, I've never taken them seriously because they've always spoken with two sides of the mouth. So let the practical reality start happening. You see the marketers predict. It's not a realistic narrative because it's something that more or less a 50-50 situation. The forces of demand and supply determine the price control, and the sources of demand and supply and international crude price that will determine. If you recall vividly, in the last 2 years, it's been one crisis on the other between NNPC and Dangote. We don't know who is telling the truth, who is telling a lie. But I look at NNPC and Dangote Refinery as two children of one father, but two different mothers, and that is where you're having an issue. And I'm not affirming the fact that the prices would not come down, but or rather it will come down. But I am positive that the forces of demand and supply are the key factors that are going to determine the price control, the price mechanism, the price regulation indices, not whether the marketers predict. It is the same marketers that are the middlemen. They're the same people in collusion with other factors that are making us suffer. No, 3 years ago, nobody predicted when we're talking about fuel. One day fuel will be 1,000. Impossible, not in Nigeria.
And also, are you there? I think the network is bad. Okay. Still on the Punch. We have a story that says federal government alerts 30 states rush to avert flood crisis on page 19. Still on the Punch, you also have a story that says Federal character controversy over Tinubu's appointment widens on page 29. Ambassadorial list ready for NAS review after DSS clearance on page 2. Lynched travelers. Federal government Edo raised joint pro panel. Kano delegation arrives Benin on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Okay. Ipman fought NBC on Idris Abdulkarim's anti-Tinubu song. Please recover 21 AK-47 rifles. Rescue 17 kidnapped victims on page 4 and 5. Truck driver arrested for killing Ogun police students. And these are all the stories we have this morning on the Punch. Okay, there's actually this story that caught my attention because it was actually trending since yesterday. I've been seeing the story everywhere about the Idris Abdulkarim song that was banned. Anyway, just according to what Very Dark Man said, so it means that the governments have been hearing what we've been saying, they have a clue of what we've been saying, and for them to take the action of banning NBCS to ban this musician's song, right? Has been talking against the president, telling the president's son to tell his father this, to tell his father that. Anyway, it means that the government has really been hearing what we've been saying. For them to ban the song, it means they've been hearing the cry of the people. But it is what it is. We hope they do better. We hope they understand that Nigerians are suffering, people are crying, and they tend to really do something because it's not going to be that easy. Nigerians are really going through a lot right now. And for the Edo State travelers that were killed, and we see that Kano, right? He says that Kano delegation arrives Benin. The thing is, the way they are following up this issue, my thoughts, I would say, if the way they are following up these people that were killed in Edo State, that's how the Edo State governor has been fighting whenever his people, right, are being killed in the farms. Whenever these headsmen kill Edo State people, right? When they go to the farm and their products being destroyed, I wouldn't have had issue. I know there's no way we'll say what they did is right, what they did is wrong, but he should have still put this effort in his people that have been killed over the years, over the months.
Yeah, thank you very much. The headline there talks about federal government trying to set up a joint committee with the Edo State government in order to probe and find out what could have led to that very unfortunate Uromi incident. And that again led to the deputy governor of Kano State coming to visit the governor of Edo State. Don't forget that it was the governor of Edo State who, yes, immediately that incident happened, he visited Kano. Perhaps that, in a way, helped to ensure that there were no sustained reprisals.
What they did
yes,
wrong, but people have been killing people in Edo State over the time.
Exactly.
Yes, they have been killing people. Farmers have been killed. Their farm products destroyed. I'm not seeing this energy in the governor. All this why the energy is putting right now.
It's just a political move.
You said?
Mary, I said the governor's action was just politically motivated. He has failed his people. A governor that cannot communicate. I mean, he just wants to play to the gallery of this government and the Senate. But let me tell you something. Less than 24 hours after what happened in Uromi happened, 24 hours later, 2 a.m., 24 hours, I think on the Sunday, Fulanis, they rampaged and killed over 30-something people in a village of Ovia Northeast. And the governor didn't even hold a press conference for less than 48 hours.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything.
He didn't say anything. This thing happened after the about 48 hours. He didn't say anything.
No, but that shouldn't be too strange to you. The way things pan out in this country,
Yes.
it does appear that some lives are more special than the other lives.
Deborah's
You know?
life,
But
when
it's
Deborah
not
was killed, it was did the governor come to apologize to the state of origin of Deborah? Did the government say anything when Debbie was burnt? Because she said she would caution them about blasphemy, and they said she was being blasphemous. When a certain woman, I can't remember her name now, she's of the Redeemed Church Extraction or thereabouts, was preaching one early morning somewhere in Abuja, and she was murdered that morning. Nobody said anything. And so many other Christians, those of certain extraction, that have been killed unjudiciously. No, the governors did not make a sitting governor is threatening, and people are threatening that if nothing is done, that they should shift the case from Benin City down to Kaduna or Kano or thereabout. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Jurisdiction is held where the crime is committed. Besides all that, in as much as what the people did were not right, but let me tell you, a lot of people do not know what truly happened. And we have done underground investigation. We have heard, we have seen. Now, this trailer was coming, a certain Dangote trailer coming from Port Harcourt, right? It passed through Delta State, passed through Onichugbo, entered Edo State through Ila, Ebu, entered Ewohimi. Around between Ewohimi and I think between Ewohimi and Wato, they parked. Then certain headers from inside the bush, armed, came and joined them that were going to the north for Salah. And the vigilantes in Ewato, because they were not strengthened enough, they heard. So they made calls to other vigilantes. The strongest composition of vigilantes are the ones that are in Uromi, around that Uromi junction, that Ubiaja junction. And that was where they made the call, and that's where they were intercepted. Now, upon interception, when they looked thoroughly into their contents, they found not just you call yourself hunters. You went to River State to hunt. I want to be very realistic. You went to hunt in River State. We didn't see any dried meat that you killed. You are carrying for Salah. You went to hunt in River State. I don't know bushes in Kano State or in Kaduna State where you have games. You have more. It's easier to kill in your bushes than here.
How many bushes are even in River State? The River State are in.
Ask me, my dear. The whole place is swamp. They say they went to hunt in Port Harcourt. There was no
say that they are fishermen who believe. If you say you are a fisherman, you believe that you are a fisherman because River State is filled with.
Do they use guns to kill fish? Do they use guns?
Because I don't understand. They should tell me that they are fishermen.
No.
I say you are hunters.
Upon searching the truck, in as much as they saw Dane guns for hunters, they probably saw AK-47 rifles, and in the course of that, one or two of them ran away. It will create for suspicion, and they didn't look like people that were hunters. Where are the hunting dogs? They didn't see one hunter's dog with them. The dogs they used to go and hunt, but they said they were hunters. Let's call a spade a spade. We have selective appendage for jurisdiction in this country. The jurisdiction that affects the South is not the same one that affects the North. The Constitution is selective. The Constitution is made for certain group of individuals. That we have lesser mortals in Nigeria than we have in every. There's no equity. He that must come to equity must come with clean hands. There's no equitable distribution of wealth. There's no equitable distribution of almost everything in this country. Everything we have in Nigeria is selective, subject to religion, power. In fact, our biggest problem has been quota system. My other brother here was talking about the 52 years. Now let us see something. We're talking of NYSC. The National Assembly and is a bigger version of NYSC. The National Assembly, what have we achieved as a National Assembly in terms of legislation to help this country go forward? Yes, the essence of NYSC is integration, cultural integration, intermarriage. The intermarriage we know, Natasha and Udwaga, Akpabio say must die put. They will scatter it. So what have we achieved in National Assembly is a bigger version of the NYSC project. Because at the slightest opportunity, our political elite, they throw they clog, they throw, how do I call it? They clog the wheel of progress by using two most important tools: the religious carrot and the ethnic carrot. And that is what they use to destabilize this country.
I'm talking about the religious carrot now. There is a disturbing headline in one of the newspapers. Mary, maybe you can lead us to that, where a religious cleric is defending death sentence to anyone who leaves a religion for the other. And in the Nigerian setting, you understand what he's talking about. Any Muslim who, for one reason or the other, decides in his or her lifetime to get converted and become a Christian, or become part of any other religion, because we must recognize that these are not the only two religious groups that we have, that their Islamic literature justifies death sentence for such a person. I want to put that side by side with the Constitution and ask, how does that justify the constitutional freedom you have to belong to a religious association? Right to religion, right to hold your faith and all that. But I think it's in Punch where it is stated there that a cleric is justifying. So we have a way of playing up the things that divide us. And at the end of the day, while we are in that division, we find out that the members of the ruling class are plundering what is supposed to be our commonwealth.
Mr. Baka, strangely enough, like Miriam, strangely enough, our biggest problem in this country is religion. Now, that same clergyman or cleric that you called him, under what evaluation index was he used to call himself a cleric? Or is he, or constitutionally, does he have the constitutional right to decide what our Constitution has defined? Freedom of worship, freedom of association. Freedom of worship is the ability for you to have the liberty to choose whichever. I can be a Christian today, tomorrow I want to be a Muslim. The choice is mine. Now, a lot of these so-called clergymen, both Islamic clergymen, Christian clergymen, they are all political jobbers whose only interest is about themselves, not about the religion they represent. Look, we are a clean slate, a tabula rasa. Those of you that did the GST as in the Christian faith, it is what you put inside you that comes out to manifest. The truth remains that.
Oh, your network is bad. That's true. Okay, according to what engineer is saying, it is not just in the Muslim or religion, even in Christians. A lot of people today are coming out as men of God, pastors, but they don't even understand what Bible it is. They don't even know what the scripture is all about. Even this cleric now that is saying this thing, who made him that? How sure are we that he actually knows his onion? He actually understands what their own doctrine is saying, what they need to do. That is how they mislead people, because there are a lot of people, right, that will now want to a kind of obey what this person is saying, want to follow what this person is saying, and thinking that they are leading them to the right path. And that is why I say a lot of people see killing their fellow humans as a normal thing. They see it as if when I kill my fellow human being, it's not a big deal, like it's a normal thing. These things are wrong orientations. And when people begin to get this wrong orientation, that's the problem. That's just the truth. I don't know how you think taking a human life is normal. I don't know the possibility of seeing it that you taking a human life is normal. So I don't know. We just have a way of misleading people and making them believe what's right.
And you get misleading the gullible ones. You call yourself a clergyman. You now said a death sentence for somebody that would death sentence. What have you said about the kidnappings and the insecurity that is going on as a clergyman? What have you responded? What have you told the government about? That somebody leaves one religion to another and says you face the death sentence. What is your business about my choice of religion or faith? There's so much pressing issues in the nation that needs attention. But none of you, the so-called clergymen, have been able to confront or go to advise these leaders on what to do, except maybe Reverend Father Kuka. Where are those big GOs and Mama GOs? What do you people do?
We have a situation where poverty, increasing cost of living, and other economic indicators they are not respecters of religion
at all.
So the common enemy we all have is an economy that is not working, and the vagaries of insecurity, and how we can make this nation to once again have its glory restored. So those should be our driving principles, and not us emphasizing on things that should be private to us. I personally, I believe that your faith is a private thing, and it's not even something you should flaunt. You believe in it, it's working for you, okay, you go ahead.
No matter what.
But don't flaunt it, and don't let it disturb your neighbor. Mary, is it possible for us to have other papers, and let's see what other views are being canvassed and the developments across the nation? You have Vanguard with you there?
Okay, let me see. I'm trying to. What I have here is Tribune. I have Tribune, not Vanguard.
Okay. You have Tribune. Yeah, we could go ahead with that, but I know that Vanguard is saying that Nigeria and other nations are to face uncertain economic outlook, and this has to do. It's a byproduct of the tariff war, which has been triggered by President Donald Trump and our sisters World Trade Organization. That's our sister in World Trade Organization, Okonjo-Iweala, appears not to be at the center of a control of ensuring that there's no trade war among nations now because of the tariff policies that the Donald Trump has come up with, and especially for a nation like Nigeria, that most of our revenue come from by expectation from crude, and again the fact that our factories are not manufacturing as we speak. So economic uncertainties as with respect to export and what we expect to get from that. I think that's the lead story in Vanguard.
Okay.
And
the big story, right?
Go ahead with all that. Yes.
Okay. Let's see what Tribune has. I'll put in Vanguard later. The big story on the Tribune. Growing disaffection in PDP puts party future in doubt. May next meeting.
What's your take, Shadrach? Sorry, Mishak. I've chosen to call you your brother's name.
Whatever.
Mishak, Shadrach, and Abednego. So, Engineer Mishak, what's your take on that, considering that Nigerian political setup is such that the PDP is not in power now?
Very unfortunately.
And the APC is using the power they have to plant some level of disaffection. And they say PDP is having disaffection. How can we have credible opposition?
Unfortunately, credible opposition has been totally lost with the lack of internal democracy within the political parties. And of course, when you lack a political ideology, there's no way you will have internal democracy. And that is where the issue with PDP is. Now, you cannot reprimand someone like Nyesom Wike, who has taken the party so much for a ride, call him to order. Even though you lost your ticket, does not mean you should work against the party. That's anti-party, and there are punitive measures for anti-party activities. And when they fail to do that, and that's they made him a god, and that he is the mold that was planted by the APC in the PDP to bring the PDP down, and is acting out the script very, very well. The PDP has become. I mean, I remember at times when they used to call themselves the biggest party in the whole of Africa. I laughed because party is subjective. It's related to number. It's numerically attached. You can't just say you're the biggest party. You must have the numerical advantage, you must have the strength. Now look at the composition of the APC. 75% of its constituents are former PDP members. And how are they attracted? They were attracted because they were made to understand that your sins, it's like when you become born again, your sins are forgiven because you have accepted Christ. The APC is their Christ of politicians. The moment you accept to join the APC, your sins become forgiven. So that is a carrot that was thrown at the corrupt politicians within the PDP and other political parties that attracted them to the APC, and they have come to make it to add to the structure of the APC. The PDP will continue to be dissatisfied because within itself it has failed in its responsibility to be a true opposition. Opposition thrives when the political party not in power corrects, constructively criticize the ruling party with options available for a trajectory of amendments relating to leadership styles. But for that, we're not seeing that in the PDP and in other political parties. Look at what's happening in the Labour Party. The Labour Party, in fact, the APC is more concerned about destroying the Labour Party than even the PDP, because the PDP, to them, is already in their pocket. The Labour Party is more structured because truly, if you look at the body language of the last election, a lot of you would come out to agree in principle that the Labour Party probably won in most states and in the federation. But the representation of INEC was contrary to the expectations of the people. Now, the Labour Party is where APC is concerned about, and they are getting it right with creating factional groups, creating discontented opinions and all that, but it will take them a whole lot of hard work. For APGA, not much of a problem. APGA's relevance is only probably in Anambra State. So they try as much as possible to create disaffection. And this next election in November in Anambra State, or I can't remember, rather September, I don't know. But it will give APC a broader perspective on how to tackle APGA. But all said and done, the biggest undoing of the PDP is itself. The PDP created a monster that is swallowing it. Why? Because they distorted from the agreement and status quo that was reached pre-2023 elections towards selection of who is going to represent them, who is going to be the running mate and all that. PDP lied to themselves, and they are facing the effects of the lies they told themselves to post pre-2023.
Slightly away from politics now to economy, especially the world economy. The World Trade Organization under Dr. Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala, at the top right hand of Tribune, that's of course the cover page, is saying World Trade Organization warns that tariff war could cut US-China trade by 80%. And the implication of that is that it will pull down world economy. So I think the World Trade Organization is alerting the world of the implication of what Donald Trump has started, the tariff war and its implication. Donald Trump has shown the world that it's not just politically speaking an American statesman, but that nations should try to see how they can look inward and do not expect that you have handouts from US anymore. And if your goods are coming into US, be ready for a level of tariffs. And he gave as much as 40 to that of China. And China is beginning to think that again is a very hard one on its trade policy. So going forward, where do you think this will lead the nations to with respect to economic war, the prospects and the dangers ahead? And what is the expected role of World Trade Organization under this setting at about now?
Well, it's going to be difficult, no doubt, but I think what Trump is doing is to make countries more independent and, of course, to reduce over-reliance on the United States. And, of course, I think if we see, these things have been happening because it was helping countries like Nigeria to continue to borrow and borrow and borrow from international donor nations and international organizations. But with things like this, I think we should look inwards and go into diversification of our natural gross GDP and natural resources. We should go in looking at how to go back to what we wear, how we wear regionally, then look at our regional strengths and weaknesses and improve more on the strengths. The granite pyramid should go to cotton production more in the north. Gold exploration, the government should give licenses to those people exploring gold in Zamfara so that to reduce the proficiency of banditry. In the southwest, we should go into cola. In the southwest, cocoa production, cola, and the Midwest, and South, we look more at improving on rubber plantation and equally cola nut and palm produce. We should try to be exporting more. Look at your areas of strength. Trump is telling them, look at your areas of strength as a nation, build on it, let it be a bilateral relationship than a country depending entirely on loans and on donor nations. The World Trade Organizations, yes, and America wants to be funding because the people have to realize because America is funding most of these organizations. So they want to fund less to let other countries take responsibility. It's just like somebody continues to come meet you every day, you keep begging, bros, anything for your boy, bros, Wale for politicians. They keep begging and begging. Meanwhile, I don't see you, even the things given to you, I don't see productivity from your end.
So the days of handouts are over. Develop your national potentials, build your economy, and be accountable to your people so that there can be development instead of looking up to the big brother. So, Mary, are there some other headlines, please?
Yes, okay. The Vanguard you were asking for is here. I don't know if we can still take a look at it.
Okay, please. We are with you. Go ahead.
Okay, the big story on the Vanguard, we have Nigeria, others face uncertain economic outlook, coming from Yemi Kali. And the writer says, Nigeria needs economic sovereignty. And this is coming from Nasima Boss. Nigeria failed to pursue national development. And also we have a economy can't really run on market principles. We have a manufacturer spend 40% of their revenue on energy. It can kicks against borrowing for recurrent expenditure.
I think that's arising from the economic summit that Vanguard held recently, where it brought experts together and they tried to fashion out the way forward for Nigeria. And of course, there's the alert on a level of uncertainty. One, because we have not diversified our economy. And the Nasima boss there is trying also to let the world know that political sovereignty holds no meaning, holds no water, has no substance when there is no economic sovereignty. And you cannot have economic sovereignty when you do not develop your infrastructure. My brother, Engineer Mijak, had talked about the Dunlops and all the multinationals that were here with us, but because of our multi-task policy, because of our insecurity, because of our penchant for corrupt tendencies in a number of ways, they felt that they cannot be here because cost of production has become unbearable. You fuel your production process, you also pay to discos. I think there is one of the headlines. Mary, look out for that headline that talks about a number of discos, 8 of them, that were fined for overbilling people that do not have. Look out for which of the newspapers where we have it. Discos that were fined for overbilling people who are not metered. This is one country where you have applied for meter so that you can check and know what you are consuming. You have not been given that meter due to no fault of yours, but they now come and overbill you and call it estimated bill. And in some cases, if you have not, if you either petitioning NEC or you have to pay that, or you get disconnected. So there is no consumer right at all. And some of these manufacturers can't stand this. So they have gone to the neighboring West African countries. After all, they can produce from there and still have the advantage of coming to the biggest market in Africa, that is Nigeria. But they are in a predictable climb there. And again, instead of having some of their expatriates being kidnapped and also, So all this put together has endangered our economy. Until we fix them one after the other and have economic sovereignty, our claim to political sovereignty cannot hold water. A nation that cannot feed its citizen, and that food insecurity is getting worse by the day, following what we are facing about farmers' inability to go to the farm and lip service we are paying to commercial farming. So I don't know if you've been able to locate that headline about a discourse.
You've already nailed it. You've already said it.
Okay.
You've already said everything concerning the discourse. I mean, the truth there basically is the fact that we're a product of a system of leadership that we have conscripted, and because the accountability is one of our biggest problems. It is difficult to really have true federalism, accountability. People need to be held accountable for crimes they commit. People need to be held accountable for bad leadership, and that is where we continue to recycle leaders through different strata of power, and they still with the same. We can't be using the same people to expect different results. We are going to be seeing the same results moving forward, and I think as a nation, the healing process is going to be long and difficult, but it's achievable. And talking about the exports of multinationals. It's expected for them to go out of this country because the multitasking, taxing, the tax imposition, and tax tariffs are so much. I mean, the tax burden on manufacturers, on producers, is so much that, I mean, of what use? Besides taxation, you look at the power sector. You talked about it. To run business in this country is a big problem, pretty difficult as well. So
yeah. So, Mary, what was the performance of Discos in Abuja? And do neighborhoods have this culture of coming together, put money together to purchase transformers and relate with Discos for them to come and take the transformers? And at the end of the month, they still pay their bills, estimated bills and all that. What's the relationship between energy consumers in Abuja and the Discos?
Okay, sorry, I didn't get you. My network was disturbed.
Yeah, Discos, and energy consumers in Abuja. What's the relationship like?
How is the light situation in Abuja?
Yeah.
So that make we, in relation to like what we have here, the Discos, do they have a good relationship? Do they give you light enough? Do they give you light enough? Okay, if you're not hearing us, basically, I think we've nailed it off all of today because I must say, as a nation, the process of healing is quite a long one, and the youths of this nation have lost hope, and the leadership continue to make it look hopeless, especially when I'm talking of the coppers now. I don't know what the future holds for them when, like you said, the multinationals are no longer here. Where are the jobs going to come from? The only job that we have in Nigeria, that we just have two kinds of jobs. We have the public service and we have the political job. So which one, which way, Nigeria?
Thank you so very much. Mary, we were actually trying to get feelers from Abuja with respect to the relationship between power consumers and the Discos. To what extent are they respecting the rights of the consumers? Are you still on with us?
Yes, I am. The thing is, I would say in some parts of Africa, there are some parts that have this constant light. You understand? Why some parts also suffer from it. But you were asking if people come together to contribute money, right? Maybe when transformer has issues. Yeah, something like that happens.
Yes.
If there are issues as regards electricity, the people come together to fix it, and not the NEPA. No, they're not the ones that do that. You come together to try to fix it. The only thing I know they do is they come to make sure that your meter is reading. If your meter is not reading, they cut it off and ask you to pay a particular amount of money, say that you are doing a bypass. So these are some of the things we experience. But there are areas that have 247 lights in Abuja. That's one I can tell.
Okay.
Sure.
Are there incidents of disconnection?
Sure, there are. There are incidents of disconnection.
Okay.
Countless times.
Okay. So this morning we have tried to look at the National Youth Service Corps scheme as a mandatory national service program, and the possibility of extension into 2 years. And we have tried to look at in whose interest is that policy, should it be carried out. We have also tried to look at the headlines in the major newspapers today. Incidentally, Daddy Chris wasn't able to join us from UK, but Mary has been wonderful from Abuja, and Engineer Mishak, ever so vibrant, has also been wonderful here in Delta. I think it's here we want to draw the curtain today, and hoping that tomorrow we do it again and we do it better. Thank you so very much for those who followed us online, and those who are subscribing, and those who are contributing to the conversation. The goal is that independent media platforms such as this should be able to contribute constructively towards seeing that Nigeria, our only country, gets better. Thank you so very much. See you again tomorrow. We do it better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Nigeria Week London 2025. It's time to celebrate the pulse of Africa's most exciting nation. Nigeria Week London 2025 is coming to Hippodrome Theatre from July 24th to 26, 2025, showcasing the best in Nigerian arts, music, fashion, and investment opportunities. Whether you're looking to discover the future of real estate, explore Nigeria's culinary masterpieces, or get immersed in an electric Afrobeat performance, this is the event of the year. You can also join us for a film festival, cultural dance spectacles, and recognition awards. Don't miss out on the business opportunities and cultural experiences waiting for you. Book your tickets now before they're gone on eventbrite.co.uk. Call or text +447 438 893 190 or 080 330 46768 or +447 459 071 747. Visit our website, Superior